Thank you, Yolande, for having us today in your office at McGill's Hotel. And today I really like to have this very simple conversation about yourself because your career is a great inspiration for me. And how do you feel today?
Oh, I feel very honored to be being interviewed and also very hopeful. I really want my life to impact others, and you're giving me an opportunity to do that. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you walk us through the path from that Kingston, Jamaica, and up to Kingston, Ontario, and now here at Montreal, this hotel? What were the key milestones that you have experienced so far?
Thank you. That's a great question. So I was really, really fortunate to be born into an amazing family. And we had a family that believed in the value of education. It's not surprising that I'm an academic. All four children had or have PhDs.
Oh, wow.
And actually, I went to MIT and specialized initially in math, switched quickly to engineering and computer science, but started in maths and had a 4-year scholarship. And I noticed that in my year 3 that I was pretty much done. So I spoke with the equivalent of our BCom program director and said, I'm actually funded to be here for a full year plus, and I'm almost done. Can I move into the master's program?
Oh, wow.
And he said yes. So I, in the 4-year window, completed the 2 degrees. I completed my 4-year undergrad and my 2-year master's.
Oh.
And so at the end of the 4 years, I had two MIT degrees. So I went to the UK, met my husband, who's a Rhodes Scholar.
Oh, that's fine.
We got married in England. And my husband, he's Chinese Guyanese. He was coming to Toronto to do his residency.
Okay.
So, of course, I joined him and reached out, applied to Western, and that's where I went.
Okay.
Did the PhD, and from there, Michael and I, my husband and I, wanted to find a city where we could both work and raise children. And so that was Kingston, because it allowed him, it has so many hospitals, and it has Queen's University. And there I became, at first an assistant, but then, of course, associate and then full professor. I was always, unfortunately, either the only Black professor or one of 2 at the most Black professors in the School of Business there. I also was, throughout my career, now of course there are many full professors who are Black, but while I was there, I was the most senior, to my knowledge, Black professor. And it was an opportunity for me to play many leadership roles. So after several administrative roles at the school, and then centrally at the university, I was Associate Vice Principal Research, Associate Dean Research. I directed the PhD program, directed research centers, etc. After all of that, I'd pretty much given everything I could. I was very connected. I had the opportunity to come to McGill, and here I am at McGill in Montreal, a new community, but with an opportunity to have not just local and national impact. McGill is very international. It's increased the opportunity I have to make my life count. So I'm very pleased.
Congratulations on that.
Merci. Thank you.
And can you talk a little bit more about your research? Like you studied things like business IT alignment, SMAC, social media, mobile analytics, and cloud computing. And especially, you have this very interesting way or perspective on it, which is how those elements can actually improve and help entrepreneurs succeed. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. The work that I have done on SMAC, it's, as you said, these are readily available technologies, social media, mobile technologies, analytics and cloud. Almost every company, almost every person has access to these. For me, it was a game changer for the entrepreneur, because entrepreneurs often fail because they don't have resources. They don't have have funds. And so my research was showing how small, simple investments in free technology could be used by entrepreneurs to appear much bigger than they are, to get information about competitors, just using social media, for instance, to be mobile. You don't have to actually physically be all over the world. You can just be in your room and be all over the world, etc. So it was a way of revisioning, of reimagining your business using free technology and winning.
And I also know that you are quite involved in supporting startups and
Yes.
some ecosystem for entrepreneurs.
Yes.
What do you think is your input, or how do you value that involvement in those type of organization, and what do you do with them actually on a day-to-day basis?
Yes. Okay. So I think as an individual, you can only get so far. Networks allow you to get to the next level.
Okay.
And my involvement in entrepreneurial hubs, so I'm involved in a women's entrepreneurial hub that's out of the Toronto area, and I'm involved in the Black Entrepreneurship Network that you saw that's involved out of Kingston. And I think that ecosystems allow for the alignment of opportunities and individuals who can seize those opportunities, because you're not alone. So by not just working with a single new venture, but ensuring that that new venture is surrounded by a supportive environment, which could be an incubator or multiple incubators. It could be mentors, coaches, loans. It could be so financial assistance. As you're part of a bigger whole, the likelihood of your success increases.
Both as a researcher and as a dean, you have extensively advocated for EDI, for equity, diversity, and inclusion. Can you tell us more about that, and why is it so dear to your art?
Yes. So I grew up, as I said, in Jamaica, and in all honesty, it wasn't even on my radar. I was not in the minority. I looked around, everybody pretty much looked like me. And so my race wasn't even on my radar. That changed when I went to the States.
Okay.
So I became aware of being different only after leaving Jamaica. And I realized that it has cost me sometimes. People look at me and think you can't play that role because you have a different look. And I'm like, but I'm more qualified. How can I not play this role? And I said, no, the expectation is that the person in this role has a different look. And I mean, I've had people come to me and say, you can't be the professor. I'm like, I can't be the professor? I am the professor.
I am.
No, you can't be. At the previous university in 2016, I was asked by the principal there to co-lead the review of ethics, diversity, and inclusion at that university. And it was a great privilege for me to do that.
Okay.
And I did it, and it transformed my life. And I felt that it was up to me to do the little that I could do to give individuals some of the advantages that they deserved, but that were not available to them, and that in some cases I had the opportunity to provide. And so it changed my whole focus to much more want to assist those who are disadvantaged. And it's not just race, it's gender, it's all kinds of things. It's ability, you know. There, I could just keep going. The list is long.
Oh, okay.
But after that 2016 and 17 review, I started to focus on assisting racialized persons primarily, in addition to women. And at one point, I remember someone saying to me, "You're on 30 committees."
Where do you find the energy?
I was thinking, where are my research, you know? Because I know research is a gate opener for academics, and we must never neglect our research. To this day, I continue to do research.
You mentioned that you have broken so many glass ceiling, in a sense. And having achieved that, how do you perceive yourself today? And what position do you want to actually impart to other people? What do you want people to actually understand by your achievement, and how do you want them to actually interact with the fact that we now have a Black female dean at McGill Hotel?
It's a great question. For me, first of all, I want to have a legacy. Before we get to that, I would say every day I want to give people hope. I want to break the stereotype. I want them to look at Dean Chan and to say, could that be me?
Yeah.
You know, is it possible for a leader to be racialized, to be Black? Is it possible? I want people to think differently about leadership and what it looks like.
Okay.
In terms of my legacy, though, it's not just inspiration, it's impact. So yes, to inspire the young person looking at me, but also, though, to create opportunities for everyone. So for me, impact is why I'm here. I'm here for a season. Deans come and go. At most, we have 2 terms generally, and at McGill, that definitely will be the case for me. So I have a window of time to use my life, to use who I am, to unlock opportunities, and to ensure that our graduates are individuals who will go out and change the world for good.
Thank you very much for that. I need some time to actually digest what you said, because I'm so inspired by it, and to know that you are so actively engaged in promoting and giving access to different people. I know that, for example, there is a program at this hotel which actually try to ease access for a certain type of community. Can you speak into that a little bit more?
I can indeed. So McGill Hotel has the highest entering average of any business school in Canada, which is great in the sense that we have very, very, very intelligent students, but which is not great from an inclusion perspective, because if you are disadvantaged, sometimes you're working 2-3 jobs. You might be caring for someone while you also are studying. So we got permission and we got approvals all the way up through the university to have this pilot where we would, just for 15 students who would be qualified based on criteria that involved things like their leadership, have they gone out and started a company at age 12, but also overcoming barriers. That was paused, so we did not do that this year, but we're actively looking at it again for a future year, and I hope it will be next year.
Oh, perfect. I definitely hope, and I'm sure it will be not only impactful but also valuable, because we might trigger some virtuous cycle of people looking up at McGill and say, it's possible even for me, and I might get there somewhat.
Yes.
Coming back to entrepreneurship a little bit, because you have been so much involved in those type of entrepreneurial ecosystem, what would be your advice to any Black entrepreneur in today's environment? You mentioned technology in a while, you mentioned the ecosystemic barrier that they may face. How can a Black or a minority or racialized entrepreneur today can actually navigate its way to build a profitable venture?
It's very, very important to remember that network principle. The Black entrepreneur potentially faces fewer advantages than someone else might. If you're coming in and you're an immigrant, potentially, you're racialized, you don't know who to call, you have no family, it's a harder start. So it's more important than to be part of what we have been discussing here, an ecosystem. It could be as simple as an incubator. Most cities, like Montreal, has incubators. I would strongly, strongly, strongly encourage a Black entrepreneur to be part of an incubator to begin with, just because you have you have that sort of like a cocoon. It's kind of like you have a protection, you have a community who are well networked, even if you are not yourself. You'll be part of a much better networked system. Similarly, with technology, you can be a part of a Black entrepreneurship community virtually. Even if it's not available locally, technology allows you to be part of communities that can share ideas and to help advance you. So one big word of advice is do not do this on your own.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for that. Maybe a last question. Having worked so hard all throughout your career and achieving a lot, is there anything you are still looking up to? And maybe do you have planned for retirement? Maybe it's too early for that.
Too early for the retirement, but
Okay.
in terms of what I am looking up to, I would like to leave a legacy of excellence and also a very strong, equitable community where ethics is a high value and where individuals are caring and inclusive. They treat each other well. You know, I would like my legacy to be not focusing on the being small or not focusing on the adversity, but focusing on being strong, on being resilient, on being one determined to reach the stars.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you very much for your time, Yolande, and for this particular answer. Thank you very much once again for having us in your office today and for having this conversation with us this morning.
It's been my great honor.
Thank
you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.